Hi, folks. Welcome. I know folks are still filtering in here, so I'm just going to get started with a quick intro as we all get ready to start this fabulous virtual holiday decor tour. My name is Claire Fuller. I am the Public Programs Manager here at Hillwood Estate Museum and Gardens. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited that we can all gather here virtually this afternoon for our virtual holiday decor tour. We hope that those of you in the DC area will be able to visit soon to explore the peaceful winter gardens, join us for the holiday season, and explore our special exhibition From Exile to Avant-Garde, The Life of Princess Natalie Paley, before it closes on Sunday, January 4th. You can find more information about our upcoming programs and purchase tickets on our website at hillwoodmuseum.org. So before we get started, here are just a couple of quick notes about today's virtual tour. Our wonderful floral and event decor designer, Ami Wilber, will guide us through the mansion to explore the holiday trees. The tour will run for about 30 to 40 minutes, leaving time for questions along the way after each tree. So via the Q&A function at the bottom of your screens, you're welcome to submit any questions you have as they cross your mind. So again, we'll stop after each tree for questions. So it is now my pleasure to pass this over to Ami Wilber.
Great. Thank you, Claire, and welcome everyone. This is always an exciting time of year at Hillwood. We have everything decorated and everything looks very festive. I'm just going to talk about a couple of things and then we'll sort of get started with the trees. One thing I wanted to make a note of is that a lot of the photographs that you will see today were taken by Eric Kavelsvik, and he is one of the photographers who does a lot for Hillwood. I would say most of the really good photographs that you'll see are his, and then there are a couple of mine that are in there as well that are not quite as good. I'm sure you'll be able to tell the difference, but I wanted to make that note. The second thing I wanted to just talk about really quickly is that every year when we are getting our ideas ready for the holiday tree themes, we always work with collections, and then we also work with interpretation, and we work with marketing. So there's a lot of us who are involved in sort of the process of this. And this is something that we start typically I think usually I want to say like August, give or take. And we start to think about the holiday trees at that point. And then from there, we kind of like go through the exhibition. We look and see what pieces sort of stand out or things that are going to be, something that that the collections department wants to sort of highlight as something that we would use. And then from there, I go about trying to figure out how we're going to make these pieces into trees for the holidays. The other thing I just wanted to talk about really quickly, and it's something that I was very excited about this year, was that we recycled or upcycled all of the ornaments that you will see on the trees from the previous year. The only thing that we bought in this year was actually the red fabric that you will see in the visitor center. Otherwise, everything else was actually upcycled. And I always think it's kind of a neat way for us to, one, be a little bit more sustainable and be able to reuse our ornaments, but then also it's a more practical way of sort of showing how you as a person decorating your own tree at home can really make your trees look very different year to year, even though you have the same ornaments. So again, I think it's a lot dealing with themes, and obviously we have a very large collection of ornaments, but it was one of those things that I am always amazed that each year, even though we are using from the same ornaments, that we can make all these trees look very different. Okay, so let's get right into this. And I always like to start with the mansion, and I always like to start with the entry hall tree because this is the first tree that you're going to see as you come in to the mansion. So this year we decided to go with the portrait of Princess Paley by Messel. And when you're walking in and you're first seeing the entry hall tree, I always like to have this as something that somehow incorporates the gardens and the outside into the inside as well. Because we always do have fresh flowers in the mansion, in the French drawing room, and in the pavilion. So I thought this was kind of a fun way to then also tie in the trees to also have botanics in the tree as well. So this year, these are permanent botanical lilies, but the one thing that I think is kind of fun with this is lilies are grown out in our garden in the summertime. And then we also have them growing in our propagation house in the winter months. So it is a flower that you will see quite frequently in the mansion, which is why I thought this would be a fun way to sort of start off all of the trees. The other thing I was just quickly wanted to mention before we kind of get back into this is that I was thinking about how to break down the exhibition and how we were going to tie it into trees. So we decided that we wanted to go with the theme of family, friends, and collaborators. So each tree will have either a tie into family, friends, or collaborators of Natalie Paley, and then we'll also talk about how it then also comes back to Marjorie Merriweather Post as well. So again, in this entry hall tree, again, the tie-in to Marjorie Merriweather Post are the lilies, because again, like I said, we actually have those flowers that we grow here on campus. And what I wanted to do with each of the pieces was really try and take sort of the color palette of whatever it is that we were representing, and then bring it to life in the tree. So this one, obviously, we went with like the greens and the whites, and then a little bit of silver to really kind of pick up the portrait of the painting that we decided to use. And Messel, by the way, was a collaborator and also a friend of Natalie Paley. So that was kind of a fun thing to have as well. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. And again, you can really kind of see here how we've really tried to integrate the green and white theme into the trees. And this is a shot of the banister. We always have the banister in the entry hall decorated as well, and in the same theme as the tree. And this is just a picture of the tree from the library side. So it's kind of fun to see the tree from both sides in particular here. Great. So then the next slide that we have, we're going to be going into the pavilion. And the pavilion, we wanted to base this off of a jumpsuit by Bonwit Teller, who was one of Natalie Paley's friends. And we thought that this would work really well in the pavilion, because the pavilion is a place where Marjorie Merriweather Post hosted a lot of social events and social gatherings. And this was a jumpsuit that was worn by Natalie Paley at Pebbles. And so that was a place where she was always gathering with friends, mostly to, have this kind of fun time. So we really thought it would be interesting, to kind of combine the two of, a place that Natalie Paley used for gathering with friends, and then in the pavilion here at Hillwood, a place where Marjorie Merriweather Post would also gather with friends. So the jumpsuit is from the 1960s, and so we decided to kind of go with this mid-century modern theme with the tree. And we really wanted to kind of use like all of these bright, fun colors and baubles for the tree to sort of represent the jumpsuit. And then also we have a lot of ornaments that are of the mid-century modern aesthetic as well. So those are on the tree as well. And then this year, kind of a fun addition to the pavilion tree is that we were actually able to have it also be colored lights in the tree. So this is something that can either be the colored lights in the tree, or you can also go back to just sort of the regular white lights of the tree. But it really kind of pops depending on when you're looking at this tree with all of the various colors. And again, you can kind of see like we really wanted to make this sort of a fun and a colorful and bright tree and really kind of capture that feeling of the jumpsuit. Yeah, and you can really see in the close-up, you can see that they're the colored lights and then also the clear lights as well. So we have a couple of different pictures where we have it with just the clear lights and then some of them with the colored lights, just so you could sort of see the contrast of it. As you can see, the picture on the left was definitely one of the professional pictures that we had taken for us. Okay, so then moving on to the French drawing room. This is based off of the wrapped package brooch by Verdura, and he was a collaborator and a friend of Natalie Paley's. And for the French drawing room, I really wanted to kind of tie in this feeling of friends and family with Marjorie Merriweather Post. And even though she did not spend her winters here at Hillwood, I like to imagine that if she did spend her winters here at Hillwood, that she would then have a tree in the French drawing room, and then of course would have all of these wonderful wrapped packages under the tree. So that's sort of the tie-in for the French drawing room. And we went with the color palette, trying to pick up the sort of like aquamarine, greenish color and the gold in the tree. So again, really depending on when you come in to see this tree in particular, a lot of the ornaments almost feel like they have a glow to them, which is kind of fun. The other thing that I always like to think about when we're designing the trees for the mansion is how it is they're going to fit into the room. And in particular, the French drawing room, obviously, all of the gold kind of matches with the gold aesthetic that's in the French drawing room, but then also the color palette of these blues, aquamarine, green color also really tie in so nicely to so many pieces of either the porcelain or in the tapestry or in the chairs. And if you kind of like look all around the room, you'll see how it all sort of blends in together. So I always think that's kind of a fun thing to have for the trees as well as, how it is that they're fitting into the room. And again, this is just sort of a close-up of it. But again, you can see with the picture on the left how it does really kind of pull out some of the same colors that are in the French drawing room as well. And then the last room is our dining room. And this one, I really had this idea that I wanted it to be, the silver service, because the silver service, this is a piece from Paley's family that they used while they were living in Paris to entertain in their home. So I thought, obviously, for the dining room, this is where Marjorie Merriweather Post also had very similar pieces to this silver service that she used in the dining room, again, for her friends and her family to host beautiful and elaborate dinner parties. So I really liked how the idea of just using the silver color palette for this tree and really trying to almost make the tree seem like it was silver itself. And I feel that this tree in particular really works nicely in the dining room because of this color palette, and it really kind of plays off of also, the tablescape as well, and also everything else kind of going on in the dining room, especially when you're like looking at the chandelier that's so close to it and how, it really does, I think, work really nicely with that. And again, we wanted this to be, mostly silver, and then always add a little bit of diamond elements just to give it a little bit of sparkle and shine as well. And then this one, again, when you see this tree, if you can, once it starts to get a little bit dark with the lights and everything, the tree really does glow, and it looks like it is, it's almost made of silver itself. So that's really kind of fun. And then there are these wonderful sort of flat silver, they almost look to me like dinner plates that we were able to use as ornaments in this tree. And again, you can see how nicely it goes with the chandeliers. And the we always decorate the breakfast room with poinsettias as well. So this is just a shot of the poinsettias in the breakfast room. And then our last tree is going to be the tree that we have in the visitor center. And this one, I had thought about this for a while, and I really loved this dress by Maine Boucher. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Maine Boucher. But they were a boss, a friend, and a collaborator with Paley. So this was sort of tying in a lot of the different groups that we were thinking about earlier in terms of how a piece is going to relate to the show, the exhibition, and also how it relates to the tree. And then the thing that I really thought about with this piece in particular was the fact that Mrs. Post loved the silk taffeta, which is the material that the dress is made from. And I thought, like, if, she were hosting something, the visitor center is where we welcome everyone. So again, just sort of taking a little bit of a liberty, but, if the visitor center was part of Hillwood at the time when she lived here, that's where she would come and she would greet all of her guests, her friends and family. So I thought that that was kind of like a fun thing. Like this could be sort of an elegant gown that she might wear, something similar to this when she was welcoming her guests. So the from there, I really liked the sort of intricate beading and ornamentation that was on the dress itself. And the other thing was that this, I think, really kind of spoke to Palais heritage for the design, but then also it kind of has that same intricate beading and ornamentation that a lot of Marjorie Merriweather Post's gowns and pieces also sometimes had as well. And again, the silk fabric was really the main draw of it because it was one of Marjorie Merriweather Post's preferred textiles. So for this, I really wanted to kind of make the fabric sort of the main focal point of the tree. So as you go and you look at this tree, the big, I want to say, sort of showstopper is our giant bow, and then the fabric that we draped from the top of the tree to 3 points of the guard of the railing in the visitor center. And so this was really kind of a fun, sort of really different way to kind of, walk into the visitor center and again have that sort of feeling of being, very excited about the holidays. And to me, this tree really kind of feels like the holidays all wrapped up into one with the big bow and like the fabric. And then of course we wanted to do mostly like reds and golds for the color palette of this tree. And again, I think like the main feature, I guess I would say, of this tree is the fabric and the bows, but I think everything else also turned out beautifully with this tree as well. And this is just sort of a close-up. We also love having like different textures and different kinds of ornaments to, really give the trees a little bit of depth. And then we, decided to have the banisters and all of that also reflect the elements from the tree as well. And then at the very back of the bow, we just put in this sort of rose embellishment just to give it like a little bit of fun surprise for when you're at the top of the stairs looking down onto the tree. You can have that perspective from there. And this is just another view of the tree and the banister. And then we have red poinsettias, obviously, to match the color palette as well. Does anyone have any questions about any of the trees or anything?
We have one question here.
Sure.
Someone asks where we can watch this later and maybe share with our friends and family. I'm happy to answer that. This will be posted to our YouTube channel within a week or two. So you can check that out if you just search Hillwood Museum on YouTube. We'll have this posted where you can see it and share it with friends and family. Lovely. Does anyone have any other questions? All right, we don't have any questions coming in at the moment. Folks are welcome to use the chat feature or the Q&A feature if you'd like to ask some questions, or if you just wanted to see any one of the trees again, we're also happy to go through. All right. Oh, we've got a question here. Can you describe some of the upcycling that you did?
Sure, it was all of the ornaments except for the fabric.
There you go. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we used, yeah. So I guess upcycling all of the ornaments except for the fabric, you say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so nothing was bought in this year other than the fabric. So I feel like in years past we've always like purchased in some, but we tend to reuse almost all of the ornaments that we have on hand. But again, sometimes, there are just things that are very specific that we need to order something for, like obviously like the fabric was something that we didn't just have on hand. But otherwise, yes, all the ornaments were reused from previous years. And I do think that, again, even though it's the same collection of ornaments, you put them into different color combinations, you put them into different sort of themes or whatever, and you can see that it really looks very different from year to year, which is kind of fun.
Great, thanks. We had one person who said thank you for the tour. And then we have another question here. Do you incorporate any wreaths in your decorations?
No. So we do have three wreaths that are on campus that we just have on the outside, but nothing inside. And also the outside of campus, we do about 50 swags of real, different evergreen mixed material that we make. The horticulture staff makes all of those, and we put those up around campus.
Great, thank you. Someone asks, can you go into the process of how you choose the objects that inspire each tree a little bit?
Yes, so this is when I like to walk around the exhibition, and this is when I walked around with collections, interpretation, and also development. And what we try and do is figure out sort of a theme. And so again, this year we wanted to go with a theme of friends, family, and collaborators. So from there, we were able to just sort of go through the exhibition. And it was really, things that sort of stood out to me or like really spoke to me. We did know, like going in, that the wrapped package would be one piece that we chose because we knew that was going to be in a lot of the marketing, as well as it's just fun because it's called wrap package and it's the holidays, so we thought that fit in really well. But otherwise it was I kind of look for things that I could work with, or how could I tie this into where it's going to go in the mansion. So when I saw the portrait of Natalie Paley with the lilies, I saw that and I'm like, lilies, that's something that we grow in the garden, and I was able to figure out like how to tie that in as well. And then some of the other things were just, like I loved that jumpsuit, and I thought that jumpsuit was like really kind of fun. And I'm like, how can we incorporate this and how can we make that into a tree? And that was sort of how we came to use that one. And then of course the dress, just being that like beautiful like red silk taffeta dress. I was like, ooh, I'm like, I had this idea of always making like a giant red bow for the visitor center. I'm like, oh, I could finally, have that come to fruition. So that's how that one was selected. And then when we were trying to figure out the dining room, obviously like the silver service, it seemed like that was sort of like the most appropriate thing. And again, it was nice because it was something that was used in her family house in Paris. So again, that was like a nice way again to sort of tie in the family aspect of the theme.
Great, thank you. We got a question here. Which was your favorite tree to design and why?
So I don't like to play favorites, but I will say that the VC was my favorite tree this year, just because, again, this had been this idea I'd had for a while. I'd say like almost like 3 years ago, I was like, oh my God, I'm like, what if we did this like giant red bow and had these, streamers like coming from it, but it never really seemed to fit any of the the themes that we were doing. It didn't fit into any of the exhibitions. So when I finally saw it this time around and saw the dress in the exhibition, I was like, oh, I'm like, this will be great. And I was just really excited because it's not anything we've done before. We've used fabric and we've used draping, but we've never had anything that connected from like the top of the tree or anywhere in the tree to the banisters. So I thought that was really fun. And if you are in the DC area and you get to come like walking under it, it's really interesting to see, like the fabric because it's billowing and it's sort of moving a little bit with the door opening and closing in the lower VC. But it just, I don't know. It was definitely, I think, my favorite one this year.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. We have another question. Someone asks or has noticed the tree in the entry hall is a little asymmetrical, maybe towards the bottom. Is that intentional, and why was that choice made?
So not necessarily intentional, but I do think that when we are having so what I guess I'll back up for a second. So we put up all of our trees starting at 5 p.m. on Sunday evening. And all the trees and all of the ornaments get brought up from the basement of the mansion. And then starting at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, it's the whole horticulture team that they all get assigned trees, and everyone, gets told like what the vision is, what the color palette is, and sort of like a basic way of like how I like them to go and start decorating the tree. And then from there, everything is put up and it's finished by 3 o'clock that afternoon. So it's a really kind of impossibly tight time period. And it's amazing that it all gets done so that when we open at 10 o'clock on Tuesday, it's, the holidays. And it really only takes place within, just, uh, you know, less than like 12 hours. So what happens sometimes is, trees are being designed and it's, people are, kind of putting their stamp and their vision onto the tree as well. So a lot of times, I know what it's going to basically look like, obviously, because of the ornaments that I selected to go for each tree. But then I really do like it to sort of be in the hands of the people who are decorating. And, sometimes people, don't feel like symmetrical is the way that they want to have it. So I'm totally fine with that. And, if that's sort of the look they want to go for, then it's usually fine by me. The other thing I will say is I had a bunch of my the horticulture volunteers help me to sort through all of the ornaments as well. So that is also like another big tasks that we have to do in order to have everything and I can like have a look and see like what ornaments are going to go onto what tree. So it's sort of that way as well. But to answer your question about uh, the asymmetrical tree in the entry, not necessarily intentional, but I was totally fine with the way it came out.
Great, thank you. Someone joined a few minutes late, but asked if the brooch is the wrapped package that you just referred to.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you. We've got one here about how many, if you had to estimate,
Oh,
ornaments are used each year, or even just this year.
um, let me think about this for a quick second. So I can say that each room, well, it kind of depends. So like the dining room, I know we started off with 10 of those large Tupperware containers, like those Rubbermaid containers. And in each of those containers, I would say there's anywhere from like 100 to maybe like 150 ornaments per container. So but that's also a really large tree. For some of the other trees, it's not quite as many. But usually those Tupperware containers hold close to like 100 to 200 ornaments, unless they're like really big ornaments. Then it's going to be a little bit less. But yeah, so a lot.
Thank you. Um, we have a question here. So you mentioned that the trees start to go up Sunday evening, and your whole team works on them throughout the day on Monday. But throughout the tour, you also mentioned that the lighting was sort of, you mentioned that the lighting looks a little bit different throughout the day. Is that something that you all factor into designing the trees? Is that something that maybe changes over the course of the day on Monday? Just, I guess the question is about the process of how the different lighting affects each tree design.
So typically no, because it's going to be the way it's going to be. We don't really have too much control over the light that comes in. And for the most part, no one ever sees the trees when it's dark. Except for we have like a couple of programs at night where you can see the trees. Or if you're here at like around 4:30 when it starts to get a little bit dark. But otherwise, I would say for the most part, you never do actually see the trees when it is dark outside. I will say that this year, the tree in the pavilion looked very different when we had when it was light outside. The pavilion had a lot of light coming in through the back, and so when we had the all of the colored lights on the tree, it was so bright that you almost didn't see the ornaments. And then we switched it over to just the white lights, and you could actually then see the ornaments. But then at nighttime, once it got a little bit dark and there wasn't the light coming in through the back, you could see the ornaments with the colored lights as well. So that was like the only one that was a little bit like, oh, and I was mostly thinking of it for photographing it, not necessarily for viewing it, but I did notice that was a big difference. We ended up keeping the just the colored lights on it because it is like really festive, but it does have a very different look when the light's right behind it versus when it's not.
Great, thank you. We have a question here. So it looks like some of the trees, for example, the entry hall tree, we saw it from the back, from the library side.
Mhm.
Are all of the trees designed sort of more in the round, even the ones that, you only maybe see one side or a couple sides of it? Or is there, is it different based on which tree, different trees?
So obviously the one in the entry hall is done, so it's in the round because you can see both the front and the back. For the other trees, it is I would say like 80% all the way around because, depending on like where you're standing, there are times when you can kind of see like more behind one tree if you're here or if you're there. So we do try and keep all of it relatively decorated. I will say though that the backs of most of the other trees though, you don't see it's not quite as heavily decorated, but there still is some stuff.
Great, thanks. Question here. Do the trees ever move? Are they always in the same locations?
Once they're decorated or just
Just in general, I think.
in
Or
general.
maybe both.
So for the most part, no. We try and keep the trees in the same location because of objects in the room, which is the main thing. And then also, where it will be that it's visible, easily visible, but not in the way of any sort of, movement through the room. Because, the trees, they're still mansion led docent tours. And, you have to be able to get so many people into the room. And so you really don't want like this massive tree sort of like in the middle of the room. So we always try and keep it a little bit tucked out of the way so it's not in the way of visitors just coming in to have a tour or look around the room, but also, still visible that, people aren't like, oh, where's the tree? So for the most part, yeah, we do kind of keep them all in the same spot.
Great, thank you. Uh, Question here, does the breakfast room display ever change, or is it always poinsettias?
Oh, it changes all the time. So we do poinsettias for the holidays. But for the most part, it's always orchids because that's what Marjorie Merriweather Post had in her breakfast room. So she always had it filled with orchids. So we try and keep to that tradition. But again, like in the summer, sometimes we like to add in tropical plants into the mix, or we try and do a little bit seasonal in terms of the colors of the orchids that we put in there, and then some of the other extra plants that we have in will sometimes be seasonal as well. Like we'll put in sometimes we put in amaryllis, in the winter months along with the orchids, but for the most part, it's usually always orchids, except for when it's all poinsettias.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions that just came in now. Folks, if you have any more questions, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. Or if you wanted to see another tree. Oh, I see one here. Not a question, but thank you. Someone says, thank you, Amy, for your efforts to share all of this with us. And this person always looks forward to, seeing you this time of year and seeing all the great work that you do to
Thank
present the
you.
trees and to create the trees. So just a big thank you, looks like. Great. All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our questions here. I just wanted to say, just echo that thank you, Amy. This tour is lovely. Again, you'll be able to see the recording of this tour on our YouTube page in just a couple of weeks. Oh, we got one more question. Will there be any floral arranging classes again? They will start up again next year in February. So keep an eye on our website and you'll see those tickets going up. Within the next few weeks, probably, or coming up soon. So
Yep.
they'll start up again next year. But yeah, so just wanted to say thank you. Thank you all again for joining us today and kicking off this festive holiday season. We hope those of you who are in the area will be able to come check us out soon. But again, those of you who are more remote, you're welcome to take a look at this recording, share it with friends and family, and yeah, just spread the holiday cheer. So thank you all. Thank you, Amy. And I hope everyone
You
has a
too.
wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye bye.